Farm Nutrition and Bioenergy Act of 2008. The idea is supposed to be to save the family farm. The problem is there aren't any family farms. I mean, farming these days means 100,000 chickens in a space the size of a Motel 6 bathroom, right? The only family farms left are in places like Peru, and what they're growing is cocaine, you know? As for the nutrition in the name of the bill, now if we cared anything about nutrition, we would, obviously, to judge by the immense jiggling crab of Americans, we would stop growing all food immediately. And bioenergy, this is this Bernie Madoff-sized fraud, taxpayer money composted to produce a fuel made of alcohol that is more expensive than oil, causes more pollution than oil, and tastes almost as bad as oil with vermouth and an olive. Besides, up in the back hills of Kentucky, they've been making high-octane stuff out of corn mash for years, and I can't see that it's done their economy any good. So, Farm Nutrition and Bioenergy Act of 2008 turns out to be $285 billion worth of welfare fraud for giant agribusinesses, and it passes the U.S. Congress with big majorities from both political parties, bipartisan consensus. You know? Now, like most Americans of my generation, my actual experience with agriculture is pretty much limited to raising marijuana plants under grow lights in my off-campus apartment 40 years ago. But I did once help artificially inseminate a cow. I had this half-baked friend, complete city slicker, who out of the blue decides he's going to raise cattle. So he buys a farm and he buys some cows, and I'm up there visiting him when it is time for the cows to get a family weigh. Now this is not done like I would have thought, with a cow and a bull and a heart-shaped stall and some slate neon tapes. And breeding cattle is like teenage pregnancy, but more so. I mean, not only isn't the bull around to get the cow knocked up, not only is the bull not around to help raise the calves, the bull's not actually even there to get, instead what happens is they've got this liquid nitrogen thermos bottle full of frozen bull semen, and let's not even think about how they get that. And then there's this device that looks like a giant hypodermic needle, you know? So anyway, my friend got this real farmer, Pete, to come in and actually do the honors. So while I'm holding the cow's head, and my friend is holding the cow's middle, Pete takes this freezing cold syringe thing and inserts it into a very personal and private place of the cows. And then what Pete does is he sticks his whole arm, into an even more personal and private place of the cows, all the way up to the elbow. Now Pete does this not to get on the internet with a pornographic website, but he does this so he can feel the tip of the inseminator tube through the cow's intestine wall and guide that tip into the uterus. Now this is a pretty gruesome thing to watch, and since I was up at the cow's other end, I'm glad to say I didn't watch it. But I will tell you this, I will never forget the look on that cow's face. It was the same look that I got on my face for the same reason when I read the Farm Nutrition and Bioenergy Act of 2008. You know, it's not just Democrats or car companies or greedy factory farmers or hedge fund screw-ups who give in to this temptation to ask the government to solve their problems, you know, especially their economic problems. We all get confused about the role that politics should play in economics. And this is because the political system and the economic system send contradictory messages. See, economics sends us the message, I better not be poor, I had better get rich, I better make more money than other people. While politics sends us the message, some people make more money than other people. Some people are rich and other people are poor. We had better close that income disparity gap. It's so unfair. Well, I am here tonight to speak in favor of unfairness. See, I've got a 12-year-old daughter at home, and that's all I hear. It's unfair, it's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair. And I say to her, honey, you're cute. That's not fair. Your family's pretty well off. That's not fair. You were born in America. That's not fair. Darling, you had better get down on your knees and pray to God that things don't start getting fair for you. Income disparity gap, but we need more income, even if it means a bigger gap, because wealth is not a pizza where if I eat too many slices, you have to eat the Domino's box, I mean, in a free market with property rights and rule of law, there are no losers when somebody gets rich. Politics promises us this equality. Everybody the same size, same weight, same income. Everybody with the same vacation. 300 million people headed for Disney World over the Christmas holidays. Wait time for Space Mountain is 1,000 years. So this political quest for equality, this is really about fear. We fear the power that others have over us, and wealth is power, and so we fear the rich. We're afraid that Bill Gates is going to buy the weather, and that we won't be able to get sunshine on weekends unless we have a Windows 7 operating system. But how rational is this? How rational is this? We can test this. We can test this. I mean, we can test this scientifically. We can take a midnight stroll through a rich neighborhood, and we can take a midnight stroll through a slum. Now, sure, we can get in trouble in that rich neighborhood. Say it's Monte Carlo, we can lose at roulette, But we're much more likely to get mugged in that slum. Not that I blame the mugger. He's just practicing a little of what I think of as freelance politics, He's just closing the income disparity gap. I mean, and if that mugger would only listen to politicians, he would put down the pistol and pick up the ballot box and steal from everybody instead of just from you, Now, using politics to create economic fairness, it is a sin. The Bible is very clear about this. Now, it's not that I agree with certain of my fellow Republicans about God being involved in politics. See, my attitude to this is observe politics. Observe politics in America. Observe politics around the world. Observe politics down through history. Does it look like God has been involved? No. That would be the other fellow who is the political activist. But in one particular sense, I do get my politics from the Bible, specifically from the 10th commandment. You see, the first 9 commandments, they concern theological principles and social law. Thou shalt not make graven images, steal, kill, etc. Fair enough. But then we come to the 10th commandment. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So here are God's basic rules about how we should live. A brief list of sacred obligations and solemn moral precepts, and right at the end of it is don't envy your buddy's cow, especially the one I helped artificially inseminate. How did this make the top 10? Why would God, with just 10 things to tell Moses, choose as one of them jealousy about livestock? And yet you think about how important this commandment is to a community, to a nation, to a democracy, to an economic system. If you want a mule, if you want a pot roast, if you want a cleaning lady, don't whine about what the people across the street have. Go get your own. The 10th commandment sends a message to Congress, to the White House, to all of our politicians. It's a message about their promises for fairness, for bailouts, for stimulus packages, for regulation, for redistribution, subsidies, entitlement programs, tax borrow and spend policies, and every other kind of fairness. And the message is clear and concise: go to hell.